Hello everybody, welcome to this video training. Today I am going to show you how you can set up a voice over IP network in Packet Tracer. First of all, let me show you the network devices I will be using to make this voice over IP network. First we need a router with an iOS that has the call manager software. So that's why I'm using the 2811 router, because it has the call manager software inside the iOS. So after that I use the 2950 switch to connect my end devices. And the end devices I will be using is gonna be just 2 IP phone and 2 computers, 2 PCs, just for simplicity, because I want this video to be basic, you know. So right now let's go to Cisco Packet Tracer. So we're gonna start from scratch. So I'm gonna grab up here a 2811 router. That's gonna be the router. This is gonna be the core of our voice over IP network. So I'm gonna grab a 2950 switch. I'm gonna grab 2 IP phones, 2 IP phone, and I'm gonna grab 2 PCs, PC1 and PC2, as you see up here. So now that's gonna be this is gonna be a voice over IP network and a data network, because that's the reason why I put those 2 PCs up here. So let's go back to the presentation up here. So we're gonna start with the configuration of the switch, the 2950 switch. What we need to do, what you need to configure, what configuration we need on the 2950 switch. As you see up here in this presentation, first of all I'm gonna create 2 VLAN, VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. And VLAN 10 is going to be for the IP phone, I mean the voice network, and VLAN 10 is going to be for the PC. It's going to be the data network, just like you see up here. So after that I'm going to assign port to the, so let's go to the switch. First of all, create the VLAN. So we're gonna, but before that let's cable this network up here. So I'm gonna cable the, and as you see up here, the IP phone, this is going to be very specific, because the IP phone has two ports. One port will connect to the PC, and the other port will connect to the switch. And we're gonna now save port on the switch, because one port on the switch is going to be able to connect the IP phone and the PCs. So I'm going to show you how you can make that happen. So I'm gonna first of all, you see, as you see up here, the IP phone has 2 connector. One should connect to the switch. So I'm gonna connect this one to fast 011, and I'm gonna connect this one to the switch to FA0/12, as you see up here. And now I'm gonna connect this. This next connector is for the PC, as you see up here. So to the PC, and very simple, excellent. Okay, now I'm gonna connect FA0/1 on the switch to FA0/0 up here to the router. So so let's go to the switch now. Let's open the switch up here. So I'm gonna conf-t, no, I'm gonna go to privilege mode first, enable conf-t, and we're gonna do it fast. So I'm gonna create the VLAN. I'm gonna do VLAN 10. I'm gonna name it voice that's gonna be the VLAN for the IP phone. And exit from here, the other VLAN is gonna be VLAN 20, and I'm gonna name no, sorry about VLAN 20. I'm gonna do name name, data, and that's it. So I create the VLAN now. Now I create the VLAN. Let's go back to the presentation. So the next step is to assign port to the VLAN. So this is going to be the tricky part, because in this example, usually, if you remember, you used to hear people say like you can assign an access port. You can assign only to one VLAN. Like you see up here, this IP phone is connected to FA0/11. So this port is going to be an access port, but this access port will be assigned to two VLAN, VLAN 10 and VLAN 20, because you're gonna ask the question why. Because the reason why is this one, this VLAN 10 is gonna be a voice VLAN. So that's the reason why we can assign this access port to VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. And in order to do that, let me show you. So first of all, we're gonna go back to the switch, exit from here. I'm gonna do interface. I'm gonna do interface range, because that's gonna be faster. Interface range FA0/11 through 12. So that way it's gonna be faster, you know. So we're gonna do switch port. We're gonna make this port as an access port. Switch port mode access, and we're gonna do switch port access VLAN 20. This is going to be the VLAN for the PCs. So now this PC belong to VLAN 20 by using this like PC1 will be using FA0/11 and PC2 FA0/12. For the IP phone, we're going to need only a single command. Let me show you. Go back to the switch. I'm going to do for the IP phone, we're going to do a switch port. Let's use the question mark. If you use the question mark, you see the keyword voice. This is to apply voice VLAN on this port up here. So we're going to do voice, and let's use the question mark. And it's going to ask you the VLAN you want to assign that those voice. It's going to ask you the VLAN where you want to assign this port for the voice network. We're going to do VLAN 10, and that's it. So now that's the reason why we are assigning an access port to two VLAN, because we are using the voice VLAN. So that's how you can properly do the voice VLAN configuration on a Cisco switch. So this is a safe way. Before, back in the days, people used to make this port as a trunk port, but I don't advise you to do that. You can make this port as a trunk port like FA0/11, but it is safer to do this, make this port as an access port, and assign that access port to the voice VLAN and the data VLAN. So as you see up here. So let's go back now to the presentation. So now we do that. We assign the voice VLAN. So now the last step is to configure this port up here. Let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. This port FA0/1, because this router is going to be a router on a stick. So this port is going to be a trunk port, FA0/0/1. So we're going to do interface. Let's exit from here. Interface FA0/1. We're going to do switch port mode trunk, and that's it. So this port is a trunk port. So now you are done with the switch configuration. So now let's go back to the presentation. So the next step is to go to the router, the 2811 router, because this is where we're gonna where I'm gonna focus, because most of the voice over IP configuration is gonna be on the router, because this router is the one who's gonna handle the IP phone calls, you know. So first of all, we're gonna make this router as a DHCP server, and we're gonna create two pools. One pool is gonna be for the IP phone, and the other pool is gonna be for the PCs. So first of all, as you see up here, let's go to Packet Tracer right now. Open up this router. Let's do now. So privilege mode. We're gonna do conf t, and we're gonna do DHCP exclude address. So we're gonna exclude some address up here and make this thing bigger. 192.168. That's gonna be for the IP phone. This network. .10.1 all the way to 192.168.10.9. So that's going to be, those addresses will be excluded. So we're going to create the pool now. IP DHCP pool, pool. I'm going to call it voice for simplicity. So you can, as soon as we see voice, we're going to know that that's the voice pool. I'm going to do voice, and now I'm on the pool configuration mode. So I'm going to do network 192.168.10.0, and I'm going to do the subnet mask is going to be 24-bit subnet mask, and that's it. And I'm going to give the default router 192.168.10.1. That's going to be the IP address for the default gateway. And the last option, let's go back to the presentation. You're going to use it, you're going to need it for the IP phone is what we call option 150. Option 150 is means to tell the IP phone where is the TFTP server. So as you see this IP address, that means this router is going to act as a TFTP server, because this TFTP server is the one who's going to give the configuration file to the IP phone in order to properly use the voice over IP network. So let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. I'm going to open up the router. So I'm going to do option 150, 192.168.10.1. So option 150, no, I have to do IP. Sorry about that. Okay, good. So this is the option 150. So it is to tell the IP phone this is the, so we're going to define another pool for the PCs. So let me exit from here, and I'm going to do let me use the up arrow key, exclude the address. This is going to be for the PCs, so I'm going to be using the .20.1. So I'm going to be using the network 192.168.20.0 network for the PCs. So I'm going to exclude those address 192.168.20.9, and I'm going to do a DHCP pool. I'm going to call it IP DHCP pool. I'm going to call it data. That's going to be for the PCs, and I'm going to do network 192.168.20.0, which is the 24-bit subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and I'm gonna do default router. That's gonna be the last command for this pool configuration. Default router 192.168.20.1, and that's it. So now we are done with the DHCP configuration for the IP phone and the PCs. Is to create make this router as a router on a stick. So like so this router is going to be able to handle those two VLAN that I create on the switch. So it's going to be able to do routing or stuff like that. So this is the basic configuration. So we're going to create some interfaces from the physical interface. So the physical interface doesn't get an IP address. So we're just going to enable the physical interface and create sub interface and use the 80.1q in order to make those that interface, that port as a trunk port on the router side. So let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. I'm going to show you. Open up the router. We're going to go to first of all is going to be to create the let me exit from here. The sub interfaces. I'm going to do interface FA0 slash FA0/0.10. So this is to create the sub interface. I hope you guys already know that. So I'm going to do encapsulation because this is going to tell this interface that this interface represents VLAN 10. So encapsulation, let's use the question mark. It's going to ask you the protocol we can use. So we only have one option up here. You can have ISL or DAT1Q, but in this example we only have DAT1Q, so DAT1Q. So and now it's going to ask you the VLAN number that this interface is going to represent. I'm going to do VLAN 10, and that's it. So I'm going to give an IP address 192.168.10.1, and the default and the subnet mask is going to be 255.255.0, and that's it. So I'm going to do the same thing for VLAN 20. I'm going to create a sub interfaces. I'm going to exit from here. Sorry about that. I'm going to do interface FA0/0.20. I'm going to do encapsulation. User encapsulation DAT1Q is going to be VLAN 20. No, sorry about that. It's going to be VLAN 20, and I'm going to do IP address. I'm going to give it an IP address of 192.168.20.1, and the 24-bit subnet mask 255.255.0, and that's it. So so I'm done with that. For creating the sub interfaces. So I'm going to go now to the physical interface. I'm going to do interface FA0/0. That's the physical interface, and I'm going to do just do a no shutdown to power this guy. So now you see both interfaces are up. As you see up here, they up. So because I told you on the physical interface you don't assign an IP address. You just enable the physical interfaces. So now the next step is this is the big step we need. The most important step I can say is to do the configuration for the call manager on the router. First of all, we're going to define the maximum number we're going to be using for the IP phone. So I mean the directory numbers. And the maximum IP phone we're going to be using on our network. And in order to do that, we're going to use this command called telephony service. So let's go to the router up here. And exit from here. Go back to the global config mode. So we're going to do telephony services. Telephony services. You expect to live in this world for IP functionality on the router. First of all, we're going to up here define the maximum number of phone we're going to be using on our network. So let's, by using this command up here, max ephone. Go back to the Cisco Packet Tracer. I'm going to do max ephone. Let's use the question mark. So we're going to see, as you see up here, only this router support up to 42 phones. So like we can say that this router is just designed for a small office network or small or home network or stuff like that, because it can only support up to like 42 phones. So for simplicity up here, we're going to use, for the max ephone, we're going to do 2 because we only have 2 IP phone. So 2. Okay, and keep in mind that you can change this if you want. Like if you wanna put more than 2 IP phone, you can come back to this command and do a no max iPhone 2 and change the number. It's not like the Cisco router is gonna lock this number. Like you can between this range up here, you can choose whatever you want, like from 1 all the way to 42 phones. So now we define the maximum number of IP phone we're going to be using. So the next one is to define the maximum of directory number. So like the numbers the IP phone will be using by using the max dn command up here. So let's go back to the router. So I'm going to do max dn. Let's use the question mark, and you see up here this router support up to 144 directory numbers. So I'm going to just put 4 up here, or I'm going to put 3. The reason why I'm putting 3 up here, I just want to show you that you don't need to like make the same number. Like up here I put 2 IP phone. I don't need to put like up here max dn2, because I see a lot of people they doing it that way. But you can use I advise you to use more directory number than the phone you have on your network, because sometimes you may need to assign more than one number to an IP phone. So that I'm just showing you that because you don't need to force yourself. Like if I put max iPhone 2, so I have to put 2 up here. No, it doesn't work that way. You can use up to like 144. But keep in mind that the number of maxDN is gonna play on your router resources, so you have to be careful. So if you only have 2 IP phone, don't do maxDN like 100, because you're gonna allocate a lot of resources on your router that can impact your router functionality. So you have to keep that in mind. So now the next step is to define the IP source address, because this IP source address, this is the address where the IP phone will be using in order to communicate with the call manager. So as you see up here, this is the command you need in order to do that. So I'm going to be using the same IP address. I mean the default gateway for the IP phone. I'm going to be using those address. So those IP phone will be using this address in order to contact the call manager. So I'm going to do. Let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. I'm going to do IP source address, and I'm going to do 192.168.10.1, and let's use the question mark. It's going to ask you a port you'll be using, so we're going to do port, and let's use the question mark. It's going to ask you the port number, so you can have this range up here. You can use from 2000 all the way to 9,999. So I'm going to just choose 2000 because that's the default port. Usually a lot of people take that port number, and that's it. And now the final step is to create the CNF file. This file is what those IP phone will need those files in order to properly work with the Cisco Call Manager, because they're going to be using those files in order to properly function on the voice over IP network. So let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer right now up here to the router. I'm going to do create a CNF file, and that's it. And you see those, it says CNS file, creating CNS file, and it say the clock is not set. So I'm going to explain you this later on, because the clock is not set. You can fix that, So let's go back to the presentation. So now we are done with the configuration for the call manager. So the next step is to do the ePhone configuration, because the phone itself you have to configure on the Cisco Call Manager. The Cisco Call Manager have to recognize that phone, and in order to do that, we use the ePhone command up here, and we have to do the configuration for the directory number too by using the ePhone dn command up here. So let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. I'm going to show you right now how it works. So, and be careful, this command is you use this command on the global config mode, not on the telephony service mode. So we're going to do ePhone let's do if on, and let's use the question mark, and it's gonna ask you a tag. So this tag is from 1 all the way to 96. So usually for simplicity I usually start with 1, if on 1, and now you have to do the MAC address. Like you tell this if on 1 what MAC address will be using. So MAC address, and now in order to know the MAC address you have to go back to the phone. So like up here in Cisco packet tracer, it is very simple. You just hover the mouse up here. If you hover the mouse, you see this this phone has 00E08F41C169. So I'm gonna pause the video and I'm gonna take those two MAC address. Okay, now the MAC address, the first MAC address is gonna be 08F41 C169, as you see up here, and I'm gonna do type. You can give the type for the phone, but for Cisco packet tracer we only have three type, and the type we're using now is 7960, and that's it. So I'm gonna exit from here, and I'm gonna create ePhone 2, and I'm gonna do MAC address quickly, and the next MAC address is going to be 002.659.6D29, and I'm going to do the type. It's going to be 7962. So, and that's it. So we create we associate the ePhone to the ePhone tag to the MAC address of the phone. So now the next step is to define the number, the directory number. So to create a number on the Cisco Call Manager by using the ePhone DN up here. So I'm gonna go back here to the router. I'm gonna exit from here, go back to global config mode, and I'm gonna do ePhone DN1, and as you see, as I do ePhone DN1, you see an interface, a virtual ePhone interface DSP DN is created up here, as you see up here. So I'm gonna give it a number. That's gonna be the number the phone will be using. I'm gonna do number, and it's gonna ask you word number. I'm gonna do 2001 for simplicity. So, and I'm gonna exit from here, and I'm gonna do ePhone DN2, and I'm gonna do number 2002, and I'm gonna do exit from here. I'm gonna do ePhone DN3, and I'm gonna do number 2003. So you see, you remember I defined the maximum DN to 3. So if I try to add another number, let's try to add another number to see up here. I'm gonna do ePhone DN4 for example. So you see it say DN4 max exceeded, DN4 exceeded, as you see up here, because we only the maximum of DN we defined was 3. That's the reason why we cannot create a fourth DN number up here, as you see up here. So I hope you guys know that. So now we are done with the creating the ePhone DN number. So the last step is to use the button configuration. Okay, for this button configuration, let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. I'm going to show you right now. Let's open up the phone. As you see up here in this phone, okay, you say the device must be power on. So, but just to show you that the phone has many buttons, and each button represents a number. So, button 1, button 2, and so on. I hope you guys know that. So we're gonna start with the iPhone. We're gonna go back to the iPhone configuration in order to assign the number to the button. So let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. Open up here. I'm gonna do iPhone. Okay, I'm gonna go to iPhone 1, and I'm gonna do button, and I'm gonna start with button number 1. So if I put 1, that means it's button number 1, and you put a colon, and the next number you're gonna put is gonna be the directory number. If I do 1, that means that button 1 is gonna represent the number 2001 up here. Okay, I'm gonna exit from here, and I'm gonna do iPhone 2, and I'm gonna do button 1. So that's the number for the button, and the directory number I'm gonna give it is gonna be, I'm gonna do 2, so it's gonna be the directory number 2002. That means iPhone D1 2 up here. That's what this button configuration means. So the first number is the number of the button, and the second number is the iPhone DN number. So I hope you guys know that. So that's it. So now everything is we are finished with the configuration. So let's try to power this IP phone. So before that, I'm gonna go to simulation mode, and I'm gonna filter the this packet up here. So DHCP packet, I'm going to filter the DHCP packet and the SCCP. This is the scanning control protocol used by the IP phone in order to communicate with the Cisco Call Manager. So I'm going to now power the IP phone up here. Power, that's how you power the IP phone. Power this guy up here too. So, but before I power this guy, let me go to simulation mode. Let me try to. You see, this guy is sending a DHCP packet. Let's open up this packet up here. It is a DHCP packet. So it's gonna send the DHCP packet to the router up here, and this router will give this IP phone an IP address. You know, as you see up here, if you open this packet up here, you see it is giving this IP address to the IP phone, the 192.168.10.10 up here, and the same thing. You know, so let's stop the simulation. The same thing if I power this guy up here. Let's go back to simulation. I power this guy up here. As you see up here, so, and as you see, this guy is sending SCC. The SCCP protocol is using the SCCP protocol to communicate with the Cisco Call Manager, as you see up here, in order to get the configuration file. And now this guy is asking for DHCP configuration for an IP address up here. As you see up here, he's sending a DHCP packet, and as you see, it's gonna get the its IP address too. You know, so that's how this IP phone. The IP phone boot process is going to be like, first of all, to determine the VLAN number where the IP phone belongs by using CDP, and next is going to send a DHCP request to get an IP address from the DHCP server, and once it gets the IP address, it's going to know the TFTP server from that DHCP request, and it's going to contact the the TFTP server in order to get the configuration file. And as you see the phone, let me stop the simulation. If I open up this phone up here, let's go back to the GUI. You see the phone now has its phone number up here, 2002 up here, as you see. And if you go to phone 1, iPhone 1 up here, IP phone 1, you see it has got the phone number 2001, sorry. So IP phone 2, let me try to dial up here, 2001. You see now it is ringing. 2002 is dialing 2001. So let's go to IP. You see the phone is ringing, so we can pick up, and now it's stay connected. So that's how you can do a test call up here. So now everything is working. Now let's see if those PC can get IP address to the DHCP server. So let me go to PC1. I'm gonna go to IP configuration. I'm gonna do DHCP, and as you see, it get the PC1 got its IP address. So let's go to PC2. Same thing. DHCP, and excellent. It got its IP address. So that's wonderful. So you see now, even though those two, the IP phone and the PC are connected to the same port, the traffic, the voice traffic is separated to the network, to the data traffic. So I hope you guys understand that. Okay, as you see up here, this IP phone doesn't has the correct time up here. So in order to fix that, we need to we can configure this router. I can say we can point this router to an NTP server. So in order to do that, let me grab a server up here. A server. I'm gonna connect this server right now. I'm gonna connect it to FA0/20. FA0/20, and this port, I'm gonna give this server an IP address of it's gonna be on the 192.168. It's gonna be on the VLAN 10. VLAN 10. This server is gonna belong to VLAN 10. I'm gonna give it the IP address 192.168.2. And the 24-bit and the default gateway is going to be 192.168.10.1, and I'm going to go to the switch. I'm going to configure the switch FA0/20. I'm going to put it to VLAN 10. That's the voice VLAN, and now I can go and configure this router to point to that NTP server. I'm gonna do conf TV, and I'm gonna do NTP server, and it's gonna ask you the IP address for the NTP server. It's 192.168.10.2, and that's it. So now, if we go and do a show clock. Show clock, and now you see the router has the correct time up here. So this time the router will give this time to the IP phone. So let's go back to the IP phone, and as you see up here, now we have the correct time. It's now June 23rd 2016, and we are on 13 past 46. So that's how you can fix the time with your Call Manager Express. So I hope you guys learned something from this video. I would like to thank you for watching, and I see you for my next one.